What's good, Internet? This is the Fifth Down NFL newsletter, and I'm your host, Tony Tucker. We love talking football here, so leave a comment, consider subscribing. Thanks for stopping by. It is time to get the party started here, wrap up Week 11, look ahead to Week 12, do some picks, talk about the game of the week. But before we get into first down, I want to give a PSA. Mike and I text about this probably every single week. I really wish wide receivers at 90% of the time would just go up with two hands and catch the ball. We're seeing so many of these people trying to have their OBJ moment, their Garrett Wilson moment. And I think that those were like out of necessity, but it's not always out of necessity. Every week we see somebody.
When you're as good at it as guys like OBJ were, sure, maybe you can use that as a tool. But I feel like in the National Football League as a professional football player, you owe it to your freaking quarterback to try and catch the ball with two hands every time you have the opportunity to. And the only time you shouldn't, there should be a pass interference penalty.
Yes.
It means your other hand is being held down.
100% agreement. Okay, let's get it started here in first down. And we got to talk about two giant franchises, the New York Jets, and then, quote unquote, whether you believe it or not, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And both these teams right now, is like, to say it's a mess would be doing it a disservice. Right now, it is catastrophically bad for both these organizations. But I want to ask Mike and anybody watching this, get in the comments, let us know, which one of these teams is in better shape right now, the Cowboys or the Jets? Mike, take it away.
You're asking me to pick between like puke and poop. Which one would you rather have, man? And it's a tough choice for me, or tough pill for me to swallow, I should say, because all offseason I've been backing the Jets. I've been saying this is Tampa Bay 2.0. I tried to come up with some kind of metaphor for Aaron Rodgers in New York. Couldn't come up with it quick enough. But you know what I'm trying to reference to, and it all completely fell apart. But with that being said, it's got to be the Cowboys that are in a better situation than the New York Jets. And I don't even think it's personally close. I mean, for one, the biggest thing, the glaring thing, is going to be the quarterback position. Like, everyone's bagging on Dak this season, and Dak deserves the bagging. I mean, he just got paid again, and he's going to get paid again and again and again forever, but nothing's really changed. Like you've said since day one, like Joe said since day one, even me as a Dak Prescott fan personally, and his journey to the NFL, he's an average quarterback in the NFL. He's a guy that needs an elite rushing attack to consistently win, and to definitely win when it comes down to the crunch time and the game really narrows down to inches. And that's what the Cowboys have lacked this year offensively. And you throw on top of it, the defense has completely fallen apart and been this bad. Like, I feel like if they can make the few corrections they need on defense, which I think is through just a better coordinator that resonates with the players better, with the scheme that fits a little bit better, a fresh mindset, and then you go over to the offensive side of the ball and you draft Genty or fill in the blank beastly running back, and I think the Cowboys can turn that thing around with the same core that they have right now in a year. I think they can compete for the NFC East next year. When you flip the coin to the Jets, it feels like the Jets are multiple retirements away from even having a chance to start rebuilding at this point. And those retirements are questions up in the air. And then when those players retire, again, the glaring situation is going to be quarterback for New York, which they cannot figure out. Famously, and they still couldn't figure it out with one of the greatest to ever do it. I also think that the Jets, the way they've quit on this season is a little bit different from the Cowboys. It's almost like the Cowboys, they're quitting on the season because there is no recovering at this point, but they're going and they're understanding what they are. They're sitting on their bags still, enjoying their time, having a great time. On the other side, it seems like in New York, the players are being freaking tortured. And that is an alarm for me that even the young players, when you remove Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and these guys in the future, aren't going to want to be in New York either.
Yeah, I will say the Jets played with a lot of fight against the Colts last weekend, and overall, Mike, I'm with you on this one. If I had to make an argument for the Jets situation, it would be like, can they finally hire the right person for the culture establishing like person in that building? Like, can they get a veteran coach? Like Rex Ryan has said he's wanted to come back. We know they're not getting Belichick, but could they bring in like Mike Vrabel? Like and build with. They've got Quinnen Williams and Quincy's a really nice player. And Sauce, whatever you think about how he's playing this year, they've got him. And then on the offensive side, you've got Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Like, you've got some building blocks there, like, a couple maybe more pieces offensive line wise, but maybe Fashanu's a good player, and Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, like they've got some things to build around on the Jets. It's more so like if you hear things or whatever, it's like, is Woody Johnson going to take the ambassadorship and leave the organization and somebody else is going to run things? And if that's the case, I think like moving on from Aaron Rodgers and bringing in the right set of focus, like you could see where that's maybe a better spot. The real issue is like, I would much rather be in the NFC overall than in the AFC, right? Like, because no matter what, even if you get things on the right track, there's still 5 QBs that you have to go through that are all like monsters in the AFC.
That's some all-timers.
That are putting together great careers and are doing it every single year. As for the Cowboys, I thought the point that you made about the running back situation, like that's it, Mike, is like, that's how they solve that issue. That's how they it's like,
get back. You can just get back with that.
You could fix the running game, give that to Dak, because Dak plays average sometimes with the ability to play like a superstar. Like he did get MVP votes last year. We can't say that he never plays at an elite level because he does. Yeah. But I do think more often than not, he plays at sort of the average quarterback level than the elite tier level. And part of playing at the elite tier level is having the running game. And they flaked on that. They weren't focused at all this offseason. And that showed up as soon as the game started to matter.
Yeah, I think he's a lot smarter than people realize. I think that's kind of his greatest strength. And it's not really as much of this, crazy gifted arm that we saw in his younger years, or this guy that can be dual threat, especially not this year. He's obviously coming back from the injury, but even the little bit that he was doing running gets hurt immediately. Like, this dude's going to be anchored to the pocket next year. If you don't get him a rushing attack, he's just going to stand there and throw a bunch of picks because the arm strength isn't there to get that extra zip to guys on those extended throws that you need. So you need that play action to get the separation for him to be able to fit it in there. I really think that Gentry's going to be their pick. I think that they're going to be within range. Maybe they even trade back and still draft running back. The hype on this kid is going through the roof more and more with each freaking game that he plays at this point. I think that they're going to look at it and they're going to go, this is Zeke 2.0. Let's go.
That would be interesting for them to do that. It feels like a Jerry move. I think ultimately, like the people running the top of both of these organizations frustrate the fans to no end. Like every time you talk to him, it's like you talk to a Jets fan and they're like, well, we always do this thing. Woody always does this thing. It's like whatever it is. And then you talk to Cowboys fans and it's like, Jerry, like they're yelling about it. And you don't hear that. You talk to a Ravens fan, they're never like, Steve Bisciotti. Like they never bring him up. You talk to Steelers fans, they're never talking about the Roonies.
No.
Like this. Yeah. You talk to certain organizations and they're always, like the Chiefs, they're never talking about the Hunt family. We're going into second down right now. And this is the second time in 3 weeks that this show right here is talking about the Arizona Cardinals. So if you are a Cardinals fan, like this is the place to be. Like it's not getting a lot of mainstream attention. And we understand that as Chargers fans, we don't get to turn on the TV and hear them talking about the Chargers that often. Although this week there will be a ton of talk about it. It's the game of the week. It's Monday Night Football. But the Cardinals are on top of the NFC West. They're going to Seattle this weekend, just had a bye week. And I was going through this because I'm trying to get my picks together and Watched the 49ers Seahawks game last week. Seahawks are this team that's just been on a roller coaster. They win 3 in a row, and then they're losing a bunch of games, and now the defense is back and healthy and played a great game on Sunday. Kyler, 2-6 all time against the Seahawks, has lost 5 straight. They would still be in the driver's seat for the division. But do you feel like, is this a must win? Where are you at for the Cardinals in this game? Seahawks, picks? What are you thinking about Kyler going to Seattle this weekend?
Seems like something's got to give there with that streak going. Damn. It's like some of the other streaks. Every time I make a video on a streak, Tony, it gets broken the next week. It's like a jinx.
Cardinals fans are begging you to make that video.
Say something out there, and that thing gets snapped immediately. I think that it's a big game for sure. I think it's definitely a big game, more so for the tone set on this final stretch of the Cardinals and all the NFC West teams' schedule here. The NFC West is going to be won or lost here at the end, because it's not even just this game, Tony. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks twice in the next 3 weeks. They're playing them here in Seattle on the road, and then they're going to be playing them in Arizona in a couple of weeks. That's why I don't think this is as must win as it is to beat them in a couple of weeks at home. It's more must win that they get one of those 2 games against Seattle. Really, the must win games are the last 2 weeks. They play LA and San Francisco. I think both those games are on the road, I want to say. I'm not 100% certain. Those 2 games, I feel like will decide this division. They're probably going to be playing the 49ers for the division at the end, or the Rams for the division at the end. I like the Seattle Seahawks. Like you said, it's been so inconsistent. I feel like they've been the most up and down team in the division other than the 49ers, but the 49ers, you can kind of understand what's been going on with them injury-wise and the Rams injury-wise. So I think that it's going to come down to those 3 teams down the stretch of the season. But, yeah, if Seattle beats the Cardinals here, they take the lead in the division, and then that next Seattle game to me will become must-win for the Cardinals. I think they can beat Seattle and snap this streak in these next 3 weeks. They also play the Vikings in the middle. I think a win against Minnesota would be huge for the Cardinals too. I don't think they're going to be competing against the Vikings necessarily for the wild card if it comes down to it. I think both teams would get in if the Cardinals become wild card hopefuls, but you never know. You never know, and it's tight in the NFC.
So that is part of the reason why I think this is sort of a must-win situation, because they are going to Minnesota. Right? So we got back-to-back games for the road games for the Cardinals before the home game against Seattle. So it's like they're in Seattle this weekend, then they're going to Minnesota. That's probably going to be a pretty physical, tough game based on the way the Vikings defense has been playing this year. They do finish, like you said, on the road in SoFi. Not a tough place to play. I went and saw Kyler Murray play the Rams there a few years ago, and like I have always said, one of the most impressive athletes I've ever seen. I thought this guy was sacked for like a 17-yard loss, and he turned into like an 18-yard gain just by being able to get those little legs moving and get to the sideline. Then they finish at home with the Niners. We don't know what the situation is like with that team, because we'll talk about them more in the gambling segment. I could just continue to get L's from picking the 49ers. The other thing that I would say that's nice, though, is home game against the Patriots. Then they get the Panthers before those final 2 games of the season. So I still think the division's there. But I kind of feel like this is a must-win. Break the streak, build the confidence. Another reason why I feel like it's a must-win, Mike, you're coming off of a bye. Like, this is the kind of game where it's like, we should be rested. We should have all this film. I know that the Seahawks defense is back and looking better, and they look fantastic. The way Witherspoon's playing right now, Tariq Woolen, the defensive line, Leonard Williams, all the way from Hall to Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe was dropping into coverage last week and like breaking up plays in the middle as a defensive end. I just was like, I had to rewind it. I'm like, is that Mafe making that play in the middle? Like, it was fantastic. You know, like, can this defense for the Cardinals continue to just sort of rally together and keep making big plays, and we learn more of their names? Like, I think that's one of the things is like you start having to like look up who's on the roster. You know, it's like Wilson, where'd this guy come from? A lot of people aren't familiar with Kaiser White, so it's like they're learning about a lot of these guys in the secondary. Max Milton from Rutgers. Okay. Enough nerding out. We're gonna talk about the Cardinals again briefly when we get to the betting segment.
Yeah, keep nerding out, Tony. Don't stop nerding out. That's what we're here to do. Just nerd out. Come on. I think the Cardinals split with Seattle, beat Minnesota, win those other 2 games that you're talking about. And like I was saying, it's just that must win is you beat the Rams, you win the division, or the Niners, you win the division. It's going to come down to that. Can you get that one last win to clinch it?
Yeah. I think this team can win 4 more games. I think they can get to 10. I think they can get to 10 wins, win this division. That'd be massive, especially going into next year, having cap space. The what's his name? Ossenfort, general manager. I'm blanking on what his name is. He has done a fantastic job. We all loved what he did in the draft the first year he got there, where he traded back, then he traded up, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's wheeling and dealing and getting extra picks and picking players that the fans were familiar with and we like. And I think overall they've worked out pretty nicely. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm sitting here, watching Paris Johnson tape, because I'm definitely not that big of a nerd. Third down, we are going to play a new game. We're going to put a bow on sort of week 11 before we jump into the bets in the game of the week. We're doing something called fan feels. When you're looking for batteries, every once in a while you stumble across something you thought that had been thrown out, wasn't there. Found these old meme cards. So I'm just going to flip over a card, and we encourage you in the comments or whoever's watching this. Let's try and keep it mostly positive. But we're going to pull up the meme card, and we're just going to talk about which, fan base it reminds us of, or which play or whatever it is. But we're just going to go ahead and we're going to caption. Oh my gosh. All of a sudden that was from straight with
We're going to caption it. We're going to caption it.
We're going to caption. All right. You ready for the first one, Mike?
Yeah. Pull out the bag.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
Upside down. Look at this. I'm already failing. Right there.
A cat. A fat cat laying back.
All right. So this one right here, I'm flipping this over. This reminds me of everybody who's on a bad team. Right now, imagine that you're on the Jets. This is the Jets offensive line room, after Thanksgiving. They're one more week. You can just undo that button on your pants and you're just there and you're we're so close to vacation right now. All right. Or if I'm thinking about this as the fan base style, this is the end of a long day when you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. You're you're falling asleep in your recliner right here. And you're
that is Brian Daboll right there. That is an actual picture of Brian Daboll and what the Giants have put him through over the last 2 seasons. He is just beat to crap. He's not he lost a bunch of weight, so he's skinnier now, but he's still chubby. He's still husky. You can't get rid of the extra flab, and he's just laying there not knowing what to do next with his life.
Yeah, just he's okay, so I can't start Drew Lock. I got to start DeVito. We can't start Daniel Jones because we owe him money. All right. I don't know. Let's get into it. We'll do a couple more of these. We'll see where this takes us here.
Ooh. Oh, man.
So when I see this reminds me of Chiefs fans right here, where everybody in the media is well, the Buffalo Bills, they might have the, they might have the recipe. They might have the right weapons. They might get the home game now or whatever. And Chiefs fans are well,
that's the way I was looking at the Bengals fans leaving the stadium the other night after all that Joe Burrow over Herbert shit talk that I took for years of time. This is why they were all leaving all quiet. They didn't have nothing to say. I was going down my row, grittying back and forth and nothing.
Well, to be fair, though, in that game, Mike, there were not as many Bengals fans as people joke about oh, everybody takes over your stadium. It's in the section that I was in for that game, it took my wife till the third quarter to notice that there were people in matching Bengals overalls. It wasn't there were just Bengals fans everywhere. I was surrounded by thousands and thousands and thousands of Chargers fans.
So that's us looking at the entire NFL then. like you guys see what's happening here, right? Everyone's watching.
Oh, for sure. This is like, this is what Chargers fans feel about Adam Rank every week picking against us. You did it again, right? Or like Mina Kimes at the beginning of the year saying the team would be bad. It's like all the national media that was like saying this about the Chargers. And as fans, obviously, we're going to be, overly optimistic about our own squads. But yeah, I can see this Chargers fans looking like, where'd you pick us at again?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like that's just like Jamar Chase's look all the time. Like anytime the Bengals aren't winning by 30 points, it's not his fault. Like he's doing everything he can. Like no matter what, every single week, Jamar Chase, you are balling out, my dude. Like you are definitely doing what you can to win football games.
Oh, for sure. Like when the DB's like, I locked you up. And he's like, no, you didn't. All right, last one. Where are we at here?
What?
I got to figure out how this thing works.
A little happy walrus?
Yes. Okay, when I see this face right here, this is the fan who's like, they're closing their eyes and they're like, the draft is only 4 months away, right? When they're like already all those people, all the fans out there that are thinking like Shedeur Sanders, right? It's like it's cold outside right now, but if I close my eyes and dream about it and will it to happen, we're going to end up with the number 1 pick in the draft, and it will make all of this cold suffering worth it. This is what I think of the fans that are like, okay, there could be a happy moment. It might not be right now. I might be getting chased by like a shark or something, but like in the future, it's gonna be paradise.
Yeah, this also could just be like the entire NFL fan base, like just thinking of the Cowboys and 49ers list playoff bracket. Like neither team makes it into the playoff bracket. Just bliss.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to hear about Jerry Jones or the 49ers or whatever until the draft.
Yeah.
Right? This is also collectively every fan at the end of the Bills-Chiefs game. Like we're just so happy that it ended, right? Or this is like Larry Zonka when he knows that the undefeated season is still only belongs to the 72.
I saw that post. He was like cheersing, right? Or it wasn't Zonka. I think it was another player. Zonka I don't think he's alive anymore.
Zonka's not alive? I don't
know for sure. Don't quote me. I don't know.
Mercury Morris passed away. But this is every member or whoever's around of the 72 Dolphins right here.
We'll never see it be broken. We'll never see it be broken until next year's Chargers that have T. Higgins and George Kittle on the offense.
Stop it. All right. That was fan base feels right there. Team feels. I don't know. We haven't come up with a good segment name for it. We just wanted to have some fun before we get into these picks because this is the part where, you gotta fade me. This is now 3 losing weeks in a row for me. As we get into 4th down, it's time to make our picks against the spread this week. Last week I was 2-3. Mike went 3-2. Mike's had 3 straight winning weeks. I blank on what Mike's record is right now. I think he was like 5-2 last week. So now he's 8-4 overall. Dude is crushing it. I mean, he's 66%. That's impressive. And I am not all those things. I forgot what my current record is, but it is not
as in, maybe the opposite.
It's not as good. I'm 19-21 overall, 2-3 last week. Let's just go ahead, get into these picks right here. I can't believe I'm doing this. I got the Texans at home -8.5 against the Titans. This feels like a situation where the Texans things are heading into a direction where I think the offense is going to find a little bit more rhythm with Nico Collins. Like Joe Mixon continues to just be a monster for this team. The defense is really good. If they're going to get Will Levis in a couple of bad spots in this game, I think that they can potentially run the score up, even though that I know that it's a division game. I just think the Texans are going to start moving in the right direction. Game 2, Broncos, Raiders. I know that there's haven't the Raiders crushed the Broncos, just been beating them terribly for however long? I rewatched the Broncos Falcons game mainly just because I wanted to see Michael Penix get in, but the Broncos defense was extremely impressive in that game. Even from the first snap to the last snap, it just was tenacious, playing good, sound football. So I like the Broncos -5.5. Then we got Cardinals, Seahawks in a straight up pick 'em, no points either way. I'm going to pick the Cardinals. I wasn't joking around about this being a must win coming off of a bye. I think the Cardinals get the win. The last 2 weeks, I have picked the 49ers, and it has not gone out. Fool me twice, shame on me. Not this week. I'll take the Packers at home -1 to kind of put the 49ers out of their misery. I know that the Niners are going to be playing desperate, but Josh Jacobs, run the football, make smarter decisions in the red zone. Matt LaFleur, kick the field goal, please. And then also the overthrow by Jordan Love was terrible there. It was so bad Tucker Kraft thought the ball was going behind him to a receiver. That's how bad the overthrow was. Last one, Eagles, -3. And I don't love this one, but the Eagles, there's momentum going there. I think there's going to be a lot of Eagles fans in SoFi for that game on Sunday Night Football. And I think the Eagles are going to find a way.
There'll be one massive Saquon Barkley fan there that I know pretty well.
Are you going to that? Oh man, back-to-back nights at SoFi for you is going to be it's a treat.
I'm trying to do high school Friday, college Saturday, but I gotta line those two things up here.
Holy shit! This guy, you're trying to put together a weekend. He's building a post. This man's putting in work. Here's my 5 picks for Week 12. Texans at home against the Titans, -8.5. Broncos on the road against the Raiders, like the Broncos -5.5. I like the Cardinals on the road in a pick 'em against the Seahawks. I like the Packers at home over the Niners -1, and I like the Eagles -3 on a I think, home game for the Eagles playing at SoFi against the Rams -3. Mike, what do you got for the people? Keep the winning ways going, my friend.
I'm going to try my best, y'all. I got 5 more picks for you here, and I'm going to help you avoid Tony's terrible streak. Stop listening to him. Anyways, I say that at the same time, my first pick is, and the only pick that I have that's the same as yours, is the Houston Texans -8 against the Titans. I've been saying it now the last couple of weeks because this is kind of how I feel. I know that you like the Titans defense and you like how hard they play. I agree with you at times. I could see that effort, but I just don't feel like player for player it's out there for Tennessee. And I think they're going to lose out. I really do. And I think they're going to get blown out by the Texans here and en route to the first overall pick prediction that I was laying out, I think last week or on another show, maybe even. The next pick is the Cowboys +10.5. And I know we just bagged on how bad the Cowboys have been. This is a divisional game here. They're going on the road to Washington, and they've been a completely different team on the road. People haven't really been paying attention. The Cowboys have been putting up top 10 numbers on both sides of the ball, offense and defense on the road, but they have been bottom 5 in NFL history at home. I think that they might be losing on purpose to embarrass Jerry Jones at this point. I have a little bit of a theory going. I think this is a divisional game, 10.5 points. I can see this end up being a 10-point game or a 7-point game. Washington still wins it, and the Cowboys cover that wide spread. I got the Lions blowing the Colts out too. It's an 8 points spread. They're on the road in Indianapolis. I think that Anthony Richardson was better in his first game back against the Jets, but this is a bad matchup for the Colts, where I think that at a certain point they're going to be playing catch up in this game, and it's going to be a lot of known passing situations for number 5. I almost called him 15, his college number, and the Lions are going to be able to get after him. He's just going to make those few mistakes that end up widening this to more than a touchdown gap, and the Lions come away with the cover. I got the Patriots covering on the road. I'm a road warrior this week against the Dolphins. I know a lot of people are high on the Dolphins right now. I think the Dolphins do win this game. I think that this game's higher scoring than we typically see Miami versus New England games. We usually see a pretty good chess match between these two franchises when they link up. But I think sneakily, Drake May is showing to me that I can use one of my picks to bet on him to keep up with the Miami offense. So that's where I'm going with that one. And then my last one is it's going to work all season, Tony, because we're a real team. The Chargers are underdogs at home after that. They're underdogs at home after what we saw Baltimore drop a stinker against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which is doing worse than the Chargers defense this year. Chargers +3? That's stupid. They're disrespecting our Bolts still to this day, and the Chargers are going to win that game and make me 4-1 or whatever to end the week.
I'm with it. Run over those picks one more time, and then I got a bit of good news for you.
Houston -8, and then I got the Cowboys covering in Washington +10.5. I don't know if that point spread has gotten bigger or smaller. Lions -8 in Indy. The Patriots +8 to cover against the Dolphins in maybe a close loss. The Chargers +3. I got them beating the Ravens straight up.
So here's the good news, Mike. I do all the picks and then I pick out my favorite ones. I would have been on Washington to cover that spread. I think the Commanders are getting crushed, and then I also would have been on the Dolphins for that pick. So like I'm with you on obviously the one thing I worry about in the Texans Titans is Jeffrey Simmons. Is the Texans offensive line, but I think that they're going to be able to kind of figure that part out a little bit. But yeah, I'd say your picks are pretty good based on how things have been going for me over the last 3 weeks. Like just that I'm on the opposite side. And obviously, like if it would have got to 3.5, I would have definitely had the Chargers in mind. But if I'm going to take a 3-point spread, I'll just be with the Eagles so that I don't have to deal with it. But I mean, we're about to talk about Chargers, Ravens. 5th down. The game of the week is Baltimore going to Los Angeles, Ravens, Chargers, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. And then you have ex-Ravens versus current Charger, former Ravens playing their old team. You got the general manager, Joe Ortiz out here. But then you got guys like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards and Bozeman. It's like you have this just real connective tissue, like literally DNA connected through this game. And it's Monday Night Football. I think the schedule makers did a tremendous job putting this one here. We will both be at the game. We're going together Monday night. We'll have some stuff there. So if you're subscribed, you'll get some exclusive content from inside SoFi Stadium for sure on 5th down. Looking forward to that. But in this game, I'm gonna let you go first. What are your thoughts on this game? Spoiler alert, Ravens fans, if you're watching this, we're both picking our team, and you can fill up the comments and say all the hateful things that you want, but we're both picking our team. So we don't even need to pretend.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, because I don't know if you saw it, Tony, because you're not even on social media at all for being an influencer. It's pretty wild, actually. But I posted a video of me celebrating in SoFi. I was watching the Chiefs lose on the big old giant jumbotron, and it went crazy viral, like insanely viral. Posted on all these meme pages, like basically everywhere but ESPN. ESPN was the last ones that need to freaking post it. Like it went insanely viral. So definitely stay tuned, because I posted that first on the 5th down Instagram page before it got anywhere else. So stay tuned in, guys. He ain't lying. We're going to be posting from SoFi, and we'll hopefully have something else like that happen. But my thoughts on the game, I'm feeling extremely confident in the Chargers after that Cincinnati game. I was going into that game very nervous to see if our defense was going to hold up against the Bengals' superhuman offense, and I feel like they did excellent. I know that there were some cracks in the ship. There are a few big plays made by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Freaking sue them. I mean, that's going to happen against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with a healthy Joe Burrow, a pissed off healthy Joe Burrow in the pocket. The entire first half, they shut the Bengals offense down, and I was extremely impressed with that. So impressed that I have a lot of confidence in this defense going against Lamar Jackson. I feel like we have even more sideline to sideline guys to chase Lamar Jackson around this football field than the Steelers had last week, and the Steelers just implemented a great game plan in slowing down Lamar, as they kind of always do, which I'm starting to see some buzz on the internet of the whole Mike Tomlin versus John Harbaugh matchup starting to become a thing. Let's talk about Jim Harbaugh versus John Harbaugh. And I know that Jim has never beat John Harbaugh before, but I know that he's going to be using that tape from that Pittsburgh game and using all the advantages that we can to throw at Lamar Jackson. When you go to the flip side, the Chargers offense versus the Ravens defense, especially if they're down some guys that are hurt right now, is a complete mismatch, even worse than the Cincinnati game. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals gave the Chargers some trouble. Like, Herbert had to move around in the pocket. We had to figure out some things in pass protection at points in that game that we're going to be able to handle the Baltimore Ravens pass rush if they don't have Roquan Smith in the middle, if they're missing a couple of other key guys. I know that Kyle Hamilton has been in and out of the lineup. They need to get him healthy if they want any chance come playoff time. The Ravens, statistically, I think right now have the 32nd ranked defense scoring-wise in the entire NFL. Like, I think the Chargers can score more points this week, Tony.
I definitely do. So I was telling Mike before we jumped on here, I watched the all 22 of that game, right? I just wanted to see how it looked. And because I knew the lopsided win-loss record in that matchup, but like the discipline in which the Steelers play, like setting the edge and whatever, there was only a couple plays where Herbig crashed early on the run and didn't set the edge, and Lamar was able to get out there for some explosive runs on the outside. But like what the Steelers were able to do, like the success, I guess I should say, that they should have had in that game, I think that Herbert's a guy that can really exploit some of the things that I see. And like, if it's me who doesn't know one millionth of football that they know inside of that building, then there has to be so much more opportunities as the team continues to build up and unfold things. So I think that there's opportunities in the run game for these guys to have sort of the revenge, even though it's not, I don't think that there's an ounce of revenge for Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins in their heart. I think they made a decision to go to Derrick Henry, and I don't think that these guys hate on it, and they ended up in a good spot. So like, I really like the opportunities for, hey, the box is loaded. You're going to get one-on-one with McConkey. The other thing that I would kind of like to see in this game is let's have this be the DJ Chark game. We experimented, or we saw a lot of like down the field passes to Quentin Johnson. I would have liked those a lot better if that was DJ Chark down the field, or I'm going to say this, maybe even Jalen Reagor down the field, like Josh Palmer. Like, let's go. There's going to be some shots there and opportunities to be taken on that side. Defensive side, if we can get Khalil Mack out there for 25 snaps and just like being able to really set the edge, he's one of the better guys there. Bosa's good about maintaining that too, forcing everybody back inside to Otito. Puna's playing great. Tahir Tart, holy wow. Watching the game in the stadium and then coming home and watching it again, like him and Puna were playing freaking outstanding. Matlock's in there making plays. The way Thule's lining up inside and still getting pressure from the interior. Cornerbacks, we need those guys obviously to be held. It'd be really nice if Cam Hart is out there and ready to play, if Christian Fulton's out there and ready to play. But the safeties that we have working, I'm so excited about this game. I do think that the Chargers can find a way to pull this one out. 3 to 6 point victory here at home. Hopefully the fans are coming back out again. If you're a Chargers fan and you're watching this, I have never had so much fun at a football game. Me, my wife, my brother-in-law, and his wife went, and I lost my voice early fourth quarter. Like, it was starting to fade in the first half, but early fourth quarter, it was just like, sound like Doc Rivers, like, let's go Chargers. Just out there, just like, at a certain point, I started making this like weird noise just to make noise, where it's like real guttural, where it's like, It's like it's insane. Anything I can do. But yeah, bolt up, everybody. Fantastic.
Both all the way up. I just about had a freaking heart attack in there. It was exciting.
it was exciting. So great. Those field goals, because I'm like right behind that goalpost where I'm sitting in my section. I'm like right there, and the second one looked like it was gonna land right in my lap. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a souvenir to have on the show. This is the that McPherson missed.
McPherson missed. I got it. It's fine. Yeah, I feel like it could play out exactly the same, Tony. I could see the Chargers jumping out to an early lead, Lamar Jackson making a few desperate plays, making a few Lamar Jackson-like plays. They climb back into it, even if you miss field goals. Like, I could see the exact same thing play out.
Absolutely. And so last year I took my son to see the Chargers-Ravens, and that was the infamous game. Remember I sent you and Joe video? That was where the fans who were leaving started the fire, Staley, fire. And that's where it all started to go downhill, because the Chargers, I think, were down 10-13 at some point, and then there was the strip sack fumble there. I do think I really like our matchups with Slater and Alt on the outside versus Owe and Kyle Van Noy. I like those matchups there. A little worried about Matabike in the middle. He had some really nice reps against the Steelers. But
if we had Matabike line up, like give Herbert 7 yards, right, and have him line up unblocked, nobody, just run straight at Justin Herbert 100 times, Justin Herbert will make Matabike miss 100 times.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't disagree with you there, but
this is why we're gonna cook the Chiefs too, because when he's healthy, man, he's D tackle proof. Like, D ends can get him, but no D tackle can get him. Even when they get right in front of him, it's like he disappears as they go to wrap around him.
He's tall and strong and athletic, so all those are a good combination for breaking out of there. Let's go ahead and let's put a bow on this. We appreciate everybody who stopped by and consider subscribing, commenting, hanging out with us here at Fifth Down. Mike, anything else you want to say?
Nothing else. Everyone, bolt up. Okay. That's all I got to say.
Bolt up. Cannot wait to be there on Monday night. Going to be